welcome in. Thank you for tapping the screen and joining and sharing the live. Thank you so much. We'll get started here shortly. Just give us a few minutes. Welcome in. We are going to get started here shortly. All right. Hello, everyone. Wherever you're tuning in from, my name is Dr. Erica Steele. I am a board certified naturopathic doctor. I hold 7 degrees in my field. Sorry, the light is up there. So I hold 7 degrees in my field, 6 in natural health care, and then one specifically in global business. Welcome for tuning in wherever you are in the world. I do have an international global practice, so I treat people from all over. And whether you are tuning in from Facebook or LinkedIn or TikTok or YouTube, welcome, or even IG, welcome. We're slowly trying to figure out this new online world that we're in. So thank you so much for your patience with us as we walk through today. So today I'm going to be talking about um, really it's our first episode of Holistic Tech Goddess. So I'll probably be playing around with the visuals and things like that. But nonetheless, we're going to really be talking about how technology and beauty and wellness intersect. It's all about holistic empowerment. And today we're utilizing technology to really make that happen. And I really want to show you, especially too, with the healthcare system, the way that it is. Our healthcare system is so troubled. We, especially as Afro-Indigenous or Black people, we don't have the access or the resources of really necessary in order to maintain our health. And so it becomes really troubling, very difficult when we're dependent upon a broken system that has just been ineffectual and, quite frankly, harmful. And because of the systemic racial structures within our healthcare system, it makes just receiving just routine health, preventative health, that much more dangerous. And so wanting to give you this information and wanting to get this, out there for anyone that wants to listen and learn about their health and really what it takes in order to fully heal and transform. So thank you guys for tuning in wherever you're tuning in from. I so appreciate you. Hey, Lady Graham, so good to see you. Thank you so much for stopping by, and thank you for the roses. Um, yeah, so today we honor our voices. We uncover our truths and we want to really take control of our health journey, because there is going to be no government entity that's going to save you. There's no doctor that's going to save you. There's no, partner that's going to fix it. You really ultimately have to decide that you are worthy enough in order to get well. And when you make that decision that you are worthy enough to get well, now taking those actions that are necessary in order to get well. So I'm hoping that, as we go through this particular, video, that we're able to really uncover a lot of, um, you know, the really hidden information about our health that, um, really is incredibly important. Hopefully, you guys aren't hearing any feedback. Please let me know if you are. Okay, great. So today we're going to be talking about our Holistic Life app. We're going to be talking about really introducing you to this app and a valuable tool for tracking your health, particularly for people from marginalized or underserved communities. So, Black women, especially, are at greatest risk in our healthcare system, a lot of times because of unconscious bias. So, we will talk about health tracking, we'll talk about the importance of health tracking, we'll get into a little bit of health data, health integration, but we're not going to really go too deep in that today, just because we're really going to kind of set the groundwork for what we're going to be talking about today, and really about the data. We'll discuss specific metrics that we can use, and then of course we're going to have really discussions about new projects, new visions, that we have to offer, and just new things that are coming down the pipeline for me and holistic practice. All right, so let's go into our slideshow here. Hopefully this works properly. This has, been giving me a little bit of challenge. So let me talk to you about kind of my vision behind, Tech Goddess. And so Tech Goddess really was born out of just my innovation with technology in healthcare. It's been really, really challenging, especially as a provider. I was telling another provider earlier today, I was literally like so green early on when I started in healthcare, and I, kind of got out into it. Um, the ACA was just newly, forming and developing. There was still a lot of unknowns around it. Healthcare rates hadn't gone, slammed through the roof. Now they most certainly have gone through the roof significantly, which has put a lot of stress and burden on people. But also, too, it really hasn't offered much in the effort of gaining, more credibility, or gaining more health, or really helping to improve healthcare outcomes. In fact, it really has done very little. Hey, SJ, it has really done very little in the realm of ensuring that we have quality healthcare and quality insights. So it's really important that, again, we take personal responsibility with our health, and we really take this on as our inner mission. And what's so amazing is, with the advent of technology, which has, free to low cost to no cost, we really have access to a lot more than otherwise we would be able to. But for really this particular podcast, it's really a mission to empower individuals and communities by revolutionizing access to holistic healthcare through innovation and technology. So we are dedicated to delivering personalized healthcare solutions, fostering health equity, and bridging the gaps in the healthcare systems, which has remained, largely culturally divided. We really want to seek more culturally attuned and integrative approaches, with a goal to inspire sustainability, and also to make sure that we are utilizing as much of the cutting edge advancements that we can, but also not losing sight of compassion and patient centered values. So oftentimes people lose sight of patient centered values, and they lose sight of what's really very important when it comes to the health and well being of an individual. So let's talk about a little bit about decolonizing my healthcare. I
apologize. For some reason, it's not able to click on to the next. I'm still, figuring this whole thing out. So thank you so much for being patient as I, work more of the production kinks out. I don't think it's going to let me kind of move through my PowerPoint, unfortunately. But I definitely have, let's see if I can, let's see, nope, it's hidden and it's unlocked. Yeah, I don't know why it's not moving forward. Okay, so we'll figure that out. All right, so really quick, I just want to get into, I'm going to be talking about decolonizing our healthcare, and I'm going to be talking about that pretty consistently over the next few months. And decolonizing your healthcare is really a process of unfoldment and unraveling. And I know those sound like really kind of esoteric, you know, um, terms, but really it's about bridging those gaps and challenging these dominant narratives that have just existed. I'll give you an example. A lot of times there are just, you know, it's understood, right, in terms of bias that black people are a certain way, right? Or that white tea people are a certain way, or that holistic doctors are a certain way, or conventional doctors are a certain way. And oftentimes with conventional doctors, they feed into this narrative about holistic doctors. And what's the narrative? So, in a colonized healthcare system, a holistic doctor is very much a threat to the system. Why are they a threat to the system? They are a threat to the system because they do not align with this patient for profit model. We are definitely more in the humanitarian side. We are believers in human rights. It's really about ethical care and ethical treatment. It's not about, just profiting off of people for the sake of profit. That absolutely is unethical. Healthcare, while I don't agree that healthcare should be free, because I do believe people should have some skin in the game, I definitely don't believe that it should be so astronomical that people are really stretched, so thin that they have to choose between, let's say, eating or paying their medical bills. I always wanted to build a sustainable practice that made things affordable but also made things accessible, especially because largely a lot of the patient population I treated with in Virginia, a lot of them were very rural, did not trust doctors, did not trust hospitals. I mean, literally, they would just like have babies in the field and then want me to check them off and make sure they're okay. And so utilizing health technology and remote patient monitoring really became an excellent tool, especially when people needed access while also just navigating their comfort, and not wanting to force them into a system that, again, is systemically racist, but one that also, is harmful, and it's shown to be harmful. We're looking even at, black maternal mortality rates 3 to 5 times more likely, to unalive based off of the unconscious bias, even restrictions of pain medication, even to the extent of our, herbal medicines being stolen from Africa and then being colonized and used by the pharmaceutical industry. Malaria is a prime example of that. The treatment for malaria, the herbal treatment for malaria, has been colonized from Africa and redistributed to others. So we have systemic challenges within our healthcare system. It's riddled with corruption, corporate interest, and a history of excluding and underserving communities of color. There must be meaningful reform urgently, but unfortunately, in Trump's America, that is definitely not going to happen. Making sure that, black and brown people that have low access and are marginalized, making sure that we get our healthcare access is absolutely on a very low end of the totem pole when it comes to holistic healthcare access. It's just not something that, the current administration is concerned about. Very systemically racist. So what are we going to do? We really need to take our, health within our hands, and I'm going to teach you how to do this. I'm sorry, my PowerPoint's not working. We're working on this figuring out all of the technical side to this production, but we're getting pretty close. We did a dry run earlier today, and now, we're doing good. We're streaming on all of our platforms, so all of my followers can see. So that's pretty cool. All right, so let's talk a little bit. I wish you could see this. I may re-record it and then just post it on my YouTube channel. So definitely click the link in my bio. Follow my YouTube channel. We also have two communities. I have a standard integrative holistic community, and then I have one exclusively for Black people, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But let's talk about the app that I've created. So the app that I've created, it has personalized health plans in it, anywhere from a 30 days to drinking water to a 21-day organ detox to you name it. I found that when I was in clinical practice, a lot of times, patients just did not have the education, they didn't have the access, they didn't have the, just the support. And so I really needed something, easy, effective, that could really assist people in learning and people in gaining access to information where they otherwise wouldn't have been able to. And so I made a lot of really low cost to no cost courses on stress management, all sorts of things. And we'll offer them within our holistic community. The other thing, too, with my app is the remote patient monitoring. So we can connect with various wearables, such as an Apple Watch. I'm actually trying out a ring that I bought on the TikTok shop for 20 bucks, and I hooked it up to the app, and I'm looking at the data, and it's actually doing pretty good. It's been checking my sleep and monitoring that. So, yeah, so getting some wearables can really help to take the heavy lifting away. Obviously, it can track your walking, it can track your sleep, it can track, um, a lot of different key components depending on what particular wearable that you get. Also, too, it was very important for me to provide, practical information that patients could literally pick up and utilize. I didn't want things to be overly complicated, so I would line things up. When I'm working with a patient on a semi-managed or a fully managed care plan, which if you're not familiar with my practice, I have tiers to my care. So patients that, let's say, they just want to learn a little bit more about their health, and they really just want to be in the conversation. There's low cost to no cost. Our communities are completely free, and I do that out of a public health need and public health education, making sure that everyone gets the information that they need, even if they're not financially able to at the time. That was always really important to me to put those things in place. So there were structures. And then once people, let's say, they could invest in their health a little bit more, that they had that access and they had that relationship built. And so I've already put in the community, I've already put quick start guides, healthy nutrition guides, naturally a way to download the app and have it on your smartphone, and then be able to use all the data from there. I educate you about what the data means, so I'll be doing a course with the people that join the group and are interested in this, and we'll go through and show you each of the data. I'll also be posting just a little tutorial video about how to use the app. The app is completely HIPAA compliant. We also do use some AI driven recommendations, but right now they're more manual AI driven recommendations. I have trained bots with all of my protocols over the years to help initiate and organize things. And so we have some integration that's seamless, while other integration is not so seamless. So bear with us as we go again down that journey. What I love about giving people their health data is it's unbiased. So when I'm having you track your pH levels, and your pH levels, let's say, come back at a 5.5, right? I don't need the CDC to tell me that that's too low. I don't need NIH to tell me that's too low. I can look in real time, say, oh, 5.5 pH salivary is too low. I need you to get this to a 7, right, to prevent oxidative stress and to increase antioxidants within the system. And this is how you can go about doing it. These are, let's say, some supplements. I use a lot of green powders for that. Or you can do juicing if you're able to get that juice enough. And also, you want to be on more of an alkaline diet. So, making sure that you're gaining access to the information and understanding your health data in real time so that you can make informed decisions. Because otherwise, if you are dependent, we saw this with COVID, when you're dependent upon a third party entity to get you your information, that's very dangerous, putting your health in the hands of someone else. Just giving your power away in general with your health care, I think, is very dangerous, but especially if you're a Black person. You really want to make sure that you ask questions, and you'll be able to do that through the app. You also be able to run labs. I know there's a lot of access issues when it comes to labs. You can run any lab that you want, but I will give you guidance in terms of, let's go with a lab that's covered under your insurance and work on clearing some things with that rather than jumping right to, a $500 lab or $1,000 lab just because you want to see, if you're allergic to food. Newsflash, if you are eating garbage, right, you don't need to take a $500 test to tell you that you need to clean up your diet. What you really want to do is, clean up the diet, right? You don't need a test to tell you that. Start slow, add water, build in. This week, we're really going to be focused on physical health. So the three daily habits that we're going to work on is our first 15 minutes of the day. Every day is meditation. Meditation is really just sitting there. We'll do a little bit of meditation later on today, after, we get through the content. So it's really just sitting present, mind, body, and spirit, really allowing yourself, the space to just be, right? We are so mired constantly in go, 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 here, 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 do, that we're really not able to really be fully present in the moment. And it really affects not only our nervous system, our hormonal system, but all other systems, including our immune system and everything else. Um, there is a lot of community support. So again, we're building these two communities. One is more of an integrated community, and it gives a lot of information around, what to do actionable when it comes to your health. You can always ask questions in there. I go in there every day, and I post information so you get direct access. Also, too, there again is the one specifically for the Black community, and I plan to do a lot more with ancestral trauma, and healing, on those deeper emotional wounds. Um, we want to make sure, too, this global impact as well. One of the things that was important to me, hold on one second, I'm getting some feedback. One of the things that was also really important to me in this, process, hold on. There we go. I think that may be a little bit better. We'll see how it goes. One of the things that was really important to me was ensuring that I had, capability to work with anybody around the world. I have an international practice. I've had an international practice for a long time. And so being able to, work with somebody in Morocco, work with somebody in Africa, work with somebody, in Europe quite easily. And through this, I'm working with somebody in Canada and helping them, navigate certain things with their health. So it's really been, really important for me to develop some things that really provide access. Um, Again, so now let's look at the actual app. Again, I'm so sorry that, this is not. Let me see. Hold on. Let's see if this will. Let's see what this will do. Let's see. Nope, I don't see it opening up. Hold on. Here we go. All right, cool. So hopefully you can see my screen there. So this is a video of the app that I did. This is a plan that I put on there for the day. Notice we have little files in there like meal prepping resources that are available. There's a meditation that I put on there. There's resources like this person has stretching. This is like just a fake person that I made up. But, they have stretching and all those sorts of things. Their to-dos, again, in semi-managed and fully managed care plans, they have their to-dos. This is decolonize your health. So on this particular day, they're directed to explore webinar topics and, review webinars and see which ones. I have so much content from 20 years in public health. It's just insane how much information that I have to give away to you guys literally for free. So definitely take advantage of it. The app is free to use as well. If you obviously want to get a plan, there's a cost for that. But other than that, just to utilize the app is completely free. You can track your food, your water manually, but you can also hook up a device, like I said, the Apple Watch or the Oura Ring or a Fitbit or even just your Apple Health, tracking your water, your fundamental foundational health things. So, for this week, it's going to be your 15-minute meditation, your water, and then also too, we're tracking your protein. In the beginning, we want to see where our numbers lie. So, looking at your hips, looking at your weight, looking at these particular health metrics to see, okay, is this considered healthy? Especially in the Black community, we do have stigma attached to our size. And so I remember a whole phase. It was like every other day when I would go over, when I had a practice in Virginia, I had the body composition scale. I still have it actually. And patients would get on it, and I would tell them what their numbers were based off, their weight, based off of where their numbers were and where they needed to be. And hands down, almost every Black person that I would tell them that they need to come down, they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, you want me to be what size? You want me to be a crackhead?" And I'd have to reassure them, "No, I don't want you to look like that. I really simply want you to be healthy." So these are your foundational, your sleep. Like I said, I was playing around with this ring that I got from the TikTok shop, and it's recording my sleep. I've had very kind of broken sleep, as you can see, not very restful, but also too just playing around with the actual app itself. Um, so we track water, exercise, steps, and sleep. We want to shoot for half our body weight in ounces in water every single day. With steps, we want about 10,000 steps per day. And then with our protein, really with protein, you want 70 to 100 grams of protein per day. So mind you, in this video, I was tracking my breakfast and inputting all of the breakfast in there. After, I eat it, there's several different ways you can do it. You can either input it, beforehand, as like a planning tool. You can eat it kind of as, you can track as you're eating, or as more of a mindfulness technique, or you can do it at the end of the day more as like to recap what you've done for the day. Whatever your style is, however you choose to navigate that, there, it's really simple. It has a barcode scanner so you can, scan food. There's a search. It has popular foods. I always have my recent foods that I kind of eat all the time. It's going to save those in there so that it will calculate. Why is it important to track this? Because if you don't track, you don't know. I used to believe that everybody, told the truth and everybody was super honest with themselves and others, but I quickly realized that people will lie for anything. And I don't say that, as a negative thing, but what people think they're doing with their health and what they're actually doing with their health oftentimes are two very different things. And so this gives an opportunity for us to track things like sodium, cholesterol, fat, calcium, protein. Really make sure that we can match that with your health goals. So if you have hypertension, for instance, we want to make sure we track your sodium. We want to make sure we track your water. If you have a blood glucose issue, we want to make sure that we're tracking your blood glucose naturally. And so we have, when you're in a semi-managed or fully managed care plan, there's forms and surveys like you would, fill out in any other doctor's office. We have files as well. So like in this instance, this is a copy of my nutrition plan that I sent over, but labs and things like that can go in there. Photos, I do treat a large amount of patients that have food issues, and so sometimes they need to just take a picture of their food rather than tracking their food. And then tracking your symptoms. We are so fast paced, not paying attention to our symptoms, not paying attention to how our bodies feel. You can share those symptoms, and naturally you can also just write them in there. I will send out little messages to you, like this was in preparation for cough, cold, and flu season, what to look for and what to do in order to prevent things. Not just wait until they happen, but actually true prevention. So in this instance, I'm just showing you kind of how I would send a message through the portal. So in this instance, as my example, I'm having stuffy nose, headaches, and some sinus pressure. I followed, the recommendations given for prevention, but they're still not working. And now maybe I need to book a discovery call or book a sick care visit, just so I know what I need to do for my next steps. This is like having a doctor in your pocket. I'm always checking it several times a day. You'll actually see once I send the message, it'll pop up on my phone there showing you that I've received it. So you can see, boom, I've received it there. And so I check my messages several times a day. And so really having a doctor right there, right by your side, helping you out, supporting you. Again, I can build plans. So in this instance, this particular person is on Decolonize Your Health, and everyday RX are things that I assign to the patient. So if you have a plan, let's say you purchase Decolonize Your Health. I think this is actually a free course, but let's say you purchase this one. It'll have daily content and it'll have your to-dos as a task form. And when you're in a semi-managed or a fully managed care plan, you'll be able to click those tasks and get them done. And I can then hold you accountable to completing those tasks and see maybe where you need some additional support. So everything is completely monitored. Um, as you can see, these are several plans that I, have put on my app. I can restart those plans at any time. I have all kinds of things from crisis management to strategic thinking to meal plans. I put your calories, your intake information in there. You can sync this device with several different devices like a blood glucose monitor, a scale. There's all kinds of different practical applications that we have to that. So I really am very excited about, being able to use that app. I've used it for years, actually. This is just the first time I've gone live with it or shown people outside of our practice its uses. And really, it's because we're really gearing up this next phase of, health. Especially, with our government in disarray, this is the time, especially for Black people, to come back to self, really get back to our true, historical practices that have helped us and helped our, families and our ancestors for generations. So what does that look like, right? That looks like being more connected with nature. That looks like, again, that morning meditation, that 15 minutes a day. How much ounces of water that you're drinking every single day, making sure that that's, half your body weight in ounces, making sure you're getting adequate amounts of protein. That can be any sorts of numbers. So let's start off with tracking it and seeing where your baseline numbers are. At most of the time, patients can anywhere range from 20 to 40 to 50. I've seen all kinds of different numbers. And so we want to get those baseline numbers and then work from there. So on a low end, 70 grams of protein is typically what most people will eat in a day, but it really just depends. And then we have alkaline protein sources like your plant-based protein sources, which are your lentils, your quinoas, things like that. And then your more acidic ones, which are going to be your lean chicken breast, turkey breast, white fish. Now, you don't have to be vegetarian or vegan or any of these things to be healthy. You can actually do it, with all kinds of different nuances. I don't really teach to a diet. I teach to your macros. So I teach to your biochemistry of your body. It's energy in and energy out. So it's, your proteins, your fats, your carbs. Your proteins are there to, ensure that your body has enough energy to repair and heal. Your carbohydrates are your short-term energy stores. And then your fats are for your long-term energy stores. Years and years and years, I took data on patients. I still do. Over 40,000 patients, I can tell you it was the same pattern. Patients would say, no, 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 I eat fine. And I'd have to struggle with them to track. Then they would finally track. Then they would realize, whoa, I'm eating way too much fat, not enough protein, not enough calories. That typically was the combination. Patients not eating enough calories because they're go, 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 not balancing their diet, so not eating enough protein, just kind of grabbing and nibbling, whatever, and filling up on a lot of fatty things. And even though they were considered healthy fatty things, they were still, fat is going to fill you up. You're not going to necessarily want to, eat, more when you are consuming that much fat. Sorry, the light is like totally in your way. It's dark here, so it's evening time. So and it gets like super dark here. So having good light is important. Um, yeah. So when we look at our protein is there to repair and heal. So if you're struggling with a health concern, protein is really where it's at initially. And stable blood glucose. You cannot gain health, build health, restore health, anything to do with health unless you have a stable blood glucose. And so making sure what does that. A lot of the diet culture has taught us about glucose. It's not about glucose, it's about protein. Why protein? Protein stabilizes our blood glucose, right? If you go into a lot of the simple carbohydrates, your breads, your pastas, your rice, that's going to start to spike your glucose naturally. But we want more of an even blood glucose balance, and we do that through a lot of different things. We do that through protein, we do that through keeping our fat, even our healthy fat, low. So we want to make sure that ratio, really no more than 30 to 30 to 35. 35 is kind of pushing it on your fat ratio comparatively to your calories. So I know I'm going over a lot. We'll break it down even more just so that you can see it and understand it and have a good grasp on it. All right. So bummed because this isn't letting me move over. But thank you guys so much for being patient with me as I'm still figuring out all the production side of it. Definitely not my area of focus, but I just love being able to connect with you guys and educate. So nutrition is really important. We focus on that. But again, it's about progress, not perfection. We're trying to build a lifestyle. And so when we're building a healthy, holistic lifestyle, sometimes, patients would come in and they're eating, fast food multiple times a day. Now, I poke at people, and I will poke at you on any of the social channels if I see or hear you talking about fast food or unhealthy food. I am going to remind you. So, good, bad, or indifferent, be mad, stay mad. But, really, that's what a doctor is supposed to do. And I'm not going to recommend things that I don't do myself personally. That's the thing. I'm not going to tell you to go do this, that, and third if I'm not practicing it myself. I'm not a hypocrite. And also, too, the practicality is where the nuance, where the really texture comes in, where I've really learned and adapted to make this my own. We learn a lot in books, of course, and practically through education, but you really have to bring that knowledge out of the book into your life and really work it from there. And what worked for me did not work for a lot of my patients. So I had to not only put my books aside, but put myself aside when I was working with these patients to really listen to them. And I still do to this day. So I still work with patients one on one. It's just I'm very, very particular about who I work with simply because, if at this far distance from me, you're triggered from me, imagine getting close up and really working with me and really unpacking deep buried trauma or things that you haven't looked at or been in denial about. So it's really important that if you do choose to work with a provider like me, that you are, ready to, dive in. I can't speak for other providers. I'm definitely more unique in my education background. A lot of holistic providers don't have the psychology education or have the biochemistry education, or have the public health education. And I have all three, really working in that intersectionality to make sure that patients, especially Black people, get the care that they need because there's so much complexity to trauma. So there's, mental health trauma, there's environmental health trauma, there's emotional trauma, there's physical trauma. There's all these traumatic things that, we unfortunately are still experiencing in forced integration. And over time, through our learning of ourselves and others, and also unifying collectively across the diaspora as Black people, once we begin to collectively do that, we stand up against depression as a unified front. In the meantime, we're going to need healthcare. So, and your healthcare system may or may not be something that you would trust, and so we want to make sure you have the quality information so that you're not impacted by completely preventable healthcare conditions. We know that during COVID, a lot of the patients that unfortunately passed away was as a response to untreated, unmanaged metabolic health issues. What are untreated, unmanaged metabolic issues? That's metabolic syndrome, hypertension, diabetes. It's these particular metabolic health which are quote unquote modifiable with lifestyle, meaning that you have the power to change them. How can you change them? With what your consumption is, right? You are a consumer, unfortunately. In the capitalistic Western model, you are a consumer. However, you can choose what you're going to consume, right? You can choose, am I going to consume water or am I going to consume soda? Am I going to consume protein? Am I going to consume fat? Am I going to consume? You get the idea. So it's all really based off of your choices, which is a lot of why I say, yeah, I'll be back to Mike's life soon. I'm sure it's probably crazy. Um, yeah. So the thing is that we are unconscious, and that's why I really want everybody to start with a meditation, right? It's not about changing or fixing. Let's just get present and focused on, okay, what do I need to do today, right? What do I need to intend for myself today? And it's also about making it simple and making it easy and making it accessible. It's not about making it more difficult. Life is difficult enough. Stop overcomplicating things, please and thank you. All right, cool. So water is important, protein is important. We've talked about protein. So let's talk about protein sources. So again, if you're going more for an alkaline, I recommend, if you're Black or Afro-Indigenous, focusing on more of a high alkaline, low acidic diet, just because we have the tendency to build acidity in the system. We also have a tendency to have low stomach acid. We have difficulty breaking down proteins. A lot of it, I believe, has a lot to do with the liver and undermethylation issues. So there's a lot of biochemical things, as systemic issues that are happening within our body that we need to be mindful of, especially, if we're changing our diets and things like that. If you are on like a PPI, proton pump inhibitor, definitely check how long you've been on that particular medication, like a Nexium or a Pepcid or one of those, Prilosec. You can only be on those for certain periods of time. It's really more for stabilization of an underlying problem with the stomach acid to get that resolved. So if you're just taking the med and you're not actually resolving the issue, and that's oftentimes the issue with conventional medicine, it's all symptom based, it's all symptom treatment, and a lot of even the new health and wellness influencers, it's all fast paced. Here, take this for this. Here, this supplement for that. Here's that for that, and all of that may be good or whatnot, but it's not getting to the root cause. A lot of times it's just throwing paint up against a wall to see what sticks. It can be a lot more costly to do it that way. So there's just things to think about and consider when you're choosing those options. All right, let's see what else we got. Okay, so I think one of the things I want to talk about when it comes to data is people have a difficult time wanting to look and wanting to see when it comes to their data. So in the beginning, it's like real low and slow. Just getting people to input their height, their weight, their waist measurements, their hip measurements. That sometimes can be a little bit of a stretch. Why? Because of an emotional reaction. It's what we're making it mean. People may have shame, disappointment, sadness, all sorts of emotions attached to whatever the number is, right? And so we want to work through that, right? We want to acknowledge whatever the feelings are, wherever we got, when I was 4, when I was 3, when I was 10, whatever, all that stuff. Okay, get it up, validate it, process through it, deal with it, move it to the side so we can start looking. Because the more we want to be in denial, or the more we want to repress, avoid, deny what's actually going on with our physical body, the more we put ourselves in danger and more we put ourselves at risk. I know some people don't want to look. They're like, oh no, I can't see, because they have a negative connotation and they have iatrogenics, which is medical trauma, attached to whatever the thing is, whether it's their blood pressure, or whether it's their glucose, or whether it's a medication or diagnosis. Excuse me. Woo! It's the witching hour. It's starting to get to be near my bedtime. Okay, cool. Or at least my time that I'm not going to be, sitting here on this live with you. All right, groovy. So let's keep it rolling, shall we? We're almost done. Okay. Yeah, so looking is key. So let's start to look. Let's start getting on this scale. Let's start, looking what our height measurement is. Looking what our weight. Let me say something about height. So your height after 40, you lose about a half an inch every 20 years. So it may seem like, or if your posture is like forwardly rotated, like you're sitting behind a computer, all that kind of stuff, you definitely want to recheck your height. You want to be able to assess if you're still the same height. Also, you want to check your weight. I would check that weight at least once a week. If your head can again, it's a mind body thing. If your mind, I check my weight every morning. Every morning I get up, brush my teeth, go to the bathroom, I jump on the scale. And I do that to hold myself accountable to what I've eaten for the day prior. I don't track my food anymore. I used to, like, for years and years and years, like a crazy person. Now I hold myself accountable with my weight and my hips, and my waist. So if you take just one of those little sewing, hey Diva, one of these sewing waist measurements, right? Like the measuring tapes, and put it around like the highest point of your abdomen, right above your belly button. Take that number, and then also your waist, and you divide those numbers. And as long as you are below, I think it's 0.85. Jeff, definitely check out the replay on in the group, in the holistic lifestyle community, or Pure Black. I'll post that, plus I'll post the PowerPoint so you'll have the actual data. Where I'm still trying to figure out this whole universe thing. I just got our stream for TikTok, so now we're able to stream on all the channels at the same time, which is great. So my YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, IG, TikTok, everybody's seeing me all at once, which is amazing. But we're still kind of working through some technical things, so definitely thank you so much for that, for being patient. Okay, so now these are our holistic communities. Like I said, I have my holistic lifestyle community. That's more of our integrated community. It has everybody in it. And so whomever, wherever, however, why ever. If you are a human being and you want to have a holistic lifestyle and you want to learn, that would be the community for you. There is a link in my bio. If you are a Black or Indigenous person, Black or Indigenous only, right? Please don't make me have to moderate the thing like Gestapo and be shaking y'all down. Come on now. So let's be adults. If you are a Black identifying person, this group is for you. If you are not, please and thank you. Just go to the Holistic Lifestyle community. It's got plenty of info in there. I love giving out data. I have been in public health for so long. I've got so much stuff from teaching and research, and so there's not a shortage of any kind of information. I probably wouldn't even have to create any more content. I've got so much content, but I do because I enjoy it. So those are my two communities. And then I do have a holistic health coaching cohort. I will be starting that back up. I do teach people how to do what I do. This is a lifelong process, and it is a calling. It's not a business. So if you are more of a business-minded person, I'm not going to be a good teacher for you. If you are more of a calling person, like this is a calling in your heart, you absolutely want to do this, we can have a discussion indeed. But it does take a certain type of individual who is ready, willing, able to commit themselves to the work. It requires a lot of discipline, physician heal thyself, and I'm really big on making sure that people are, not being hypocrites and actually doing the work that is appropriate. So these are our communities, and really the purpose of the Holistic Life community is a community of like-minded people embracing holistic practices that nourish the mind, the body, and the spirit. We all to learn and grow and support. While the pure Black community is rooted in our ancestral wisdom, it uses holistic medicine's offerings to celebrate, especially our plant-based therapies to restore balance and promote authentic healing. So a lot more personalized information, especially catered to the Black community. And then, of course, we empower you to reclaim your health by providing accessible, culturally relevant resources for you. Nobody is going to save you. Please stop trying and begging and pleading and waiting. There is no doctor, no government, no healthcare system that is equipped to save you. So please, 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 please learn to heal yourself. I know this is not something that we are taught in school, and so this is why I do these lives. And so, completely free, join our community. You too can learn more about having a holistic lifestyle and what that means for you. So, super excited about that. Um, just to make sure that people really are getting what they need, when they need it, why they need it. It's absolutely critical for me, for people to really get what exactly they need. All right, so we are going to, before I sign off, I'm going to spend just a few minutes walking you through an introduction through mindfulness and mindfulness practice, especially because if you're in the group, this is our community activity that we're doing. Every month we choose kind of a community activity that we all do and we all commit to. So this one is our meditation. So if for people that are completely new to meditation, I just want to go through a little 5 minute with you. So what we're doing when we're meditating is we are literally sitting. I recommend sitting up. Don't recommend laying down because then a lot of times you'll just fall asleep. So sitting up, right? You've got your body, making sure your body feels comfortable. If you need pillows, I love restorative yoga as well. If you need pillows, to make yourself feel comfortable, do whatever you need to do. And really, it's about connecting into the body. So it's closing the eyes, going into self, breathing, taking some few deep cleansing breaths, right? So a lot of times we come into this practice, if you will, of a holistic lifestyle disconnected, right? And what do I mean by disconnected? Our minds are over here, our emotions are over here, our bodies are over here. So part of our healing process is to reconnect these points. And so what does that look like? That looks like me looking at my mindset. What am I thinking about, right? And am I thinking about the same thing over and over again? Is my mind just going off? Is it chattering? Am I not even really thinking about anything? Am I just kind of like duh most of the time, right? But I'm getting present to what my thoughts are, and then I get present to what my feelings are. So I've kind of been in a little bit of a lull mood lately, just because after the election and just I don't know, trolls and just the same old, the same old, same old, right? And so I allow myself to have that space. I don't try to change it or fix it or make it anything different. I just sit with it, right? And so what does that look like? Just sitting with it. Literally, that's what it's doing. You're closing your eyes, you're being with that emotion, you're processing it, you're being still with it, you're holding it, you're caring for it, you're nurturing for it until it decides, right? Through acknowledgement and through love, it decides that it's ready to dissipate. Not, I don't like myself, I don't like this, I'm going to reject it, I don't want to feel it. That doesn't work. Rejection doesn't work. It just goes into, the recesses of your brain to just come out later. So, really, as these things come up, use this as an opportunity for you to heal. If you find yourself triggered a lot about one particular thing, it's probably because this is something that needs to come up to be healed, and new choices need to be made in order for you to do that. So, just consider that. And so in the group, I have a little intro to meditation. You can follow that along and listen to it. And I'll, of course, be always recording tons more content. All right. So the last thing I want to bring to your attention, let me see if he's what you may. Yeah, it's like the witching hour now. Let's see. Let me see. Let me see. go. It did something. I set up the hotkeys, but I don't know if it. I don't know if it did it. Ah. We'll just go back. We'll go back to just looking at me. I'll have to figure it out. Thank you guys so much for being so patient with me. What I wanted to show you is, um, well, I'll obviously clean this up and maybe even re-record it. And so my 3 podcast, Decolonize Your Health, is now on Apple, as well as Respect Black Women is on Apple. So this will also be the inaugural podcast episode of Holistic Tech Goddess. So I am in the femtech industry. If you're not aware, I'm in a lot of different things, all in the public health space, all in natural health care. I've been in politics, media, in private practice. I've done a lot in my career, and really dove in feet first in all different components. I don't really want to work as hard anymore. I'll be quite honest with you. I started at the beginning of ACA. I went through all the changes with the ACA in healthcare. I then, went through the birther movement with Trump the first time, in a Republican, very, conservative area as a doctor, and then went through COVID, and yeah, just I'm battered, bruised, torn, worn out, all the things. So, yeah, really health data and teaching people is just much easier. I love working with people one on one, and I still do. I'm just very particular about who I work with at this point, just because I'm an old granny at this point. So, yeah, so I'd love to show you what those look like, Decolonize Your Health. But if you click on, again, the link in my bio, it says listen to podcast. It'll take you right to the page, and boom, it'll have the podcast listed right there. You just click on there, and boom, Apple. They're pretty much almost on all of them. I've just applied to all of them. You have to go through and apply each one, and I'm getting regular notifications that they're all set up. But I wanted to make at least the big ones: Apple, Spotify, all that kind of stuff. I think Spotify's almost there. Don't quote me on it, but definitely follow my page for more. So those are some of the just educational pieces. I'm going to try to go live a little bit every day, really educating people. Connect with me on my podcast, connect with me in my community. If you need additional support, feel free to book a discovery call. I'm more than happy to help any and everyone with their health and with their healthcare. Naturally, I do have healthy boundaries, so if you act crazy, expect to be treated accordingly. I don't play anymore. These days, our peace has to be protected as Black people. So if you are not on a mission to keep the peace, just stay away, please. so, yeah, so I'm super excited. I'm glad that I was able to run through this. I'm still going to work through some things and try to figure out where my flaws are. But I'm really grateful and thankful that so many of you guys tuned in to learn a little bit more about how I use technology to leverage in my practice to really teach you. Because what I love about that is when COVID happened, I did not have to depend on the CDC. I had all my own data. At the time, I had um, this intake software that was so cool. I don't have it anymore. I have more elaborate things now. But, back then it was pretty simple. And so I had, just I could take health data and I could run a report, and I saw all the patients that had immunological concerns, that had cardiovascular concerns, and really were at, high risk for either contracting COVID or unaliving from COVID. And so based off of all having the data, we were able to contact all those patients, get them on a protocol. We didn't lose any of our patients. All of our patients were fine. In fact, we were getting calls from non-patients being threatened and coerced in hospitals with what is it, ventilators, right? Literally, people being threatened with ventilators if they weren't quote unquote compliant, really because they were scared, and a lot of times because the protocols were not accurate. So yeah, it's amazing what proper health data will do. It will teach you about your body. It also helps to reconnect people back to themselves. So oftentimes in trauma, people are very disconnected with themselves. Their minds are over here, their bodies are over here, their emotions are over here. Using biofeedback, so bio meaning body, feedback meaning feedback. So in the app I showed you, it has like a heart rate monitor, for instance. So like my ring, this one I got on the TikTok shop, it's actually doing pretty good. I can test my heart rate with this. So my heart rate tells me my stress level, right? I can test my heart rate, I can test my respiration rate, right? So let's say I'm running around and I'm feeling some palpitations or whatever, and I want to check if it's stress. I'm going to slow myself down. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to run the app. I'm going to see what my numbers are. And then I know, because Dr. Steele has told me, that 70 is my ideal number that I want to shoot for. So if my number, let's say, is an 86 or a 90, I'm going to use the breathing techniques or the vagal nerve techniques that I've been taught to bring that number down to a 70. So I'm no longer, again, scrolling through WebMD, looking through Facebook groups, trying to find some sort of, answer or some sort of support. No, instead, I am boots on the ground. I know exactly what's going on with my body, and I'm also educated on what steps I need to take in order to improve these numbers. I really believed that most people would choose a holistic doctor if it was available to them. I really don't believe that people would choose to have aggressive treatment, choose to be ignored, choose to be gaslit, choose to be disrespected on a regular basis. I truly believe that people, if they have the choice, if they have the option, that they would choose more of a natural doctor. Unfortunately, we don't have enough. And the ones that we do have are not educated. I cannot even tell you how many people I had to unfriend after this election, professionals that I have known for years and 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 years, but that were not able to really keep up with, the times or the education in public health. And so I'm really about the truth. That is my focus. That is my passion, and really getting the truth to you without all of these government agencies and red tape in the way. So if you're interested in that, definitely like, share, tap the screen, um, play the little bell. I'm going to try, once I get all this stuff, it's such a process that goes on behind the scenes. But once I get this like set, then from there I'll choose like some actual, regular scheduled time, so I'm not like just a vagabond around TikTok, roaming around looking for, a place to hang my shingle. So we'll work through that. Let's see. So I really don't agree that modern medicine is amazing, quite honestly. Modern medicine has definitely, contributed to, I mean, it's the third leading cause of death in our unalivement in our country. So I haven't drank the Kool-Aid. I think that modern conventional medicine is helpful for, and thank you so much for the gifts. It's helpful for acute care, right? So in the event, God forbid, something happened, I broke my neck in 20, what year was it? I broke my neck at one point. And so I was a crazy girl, adrenaline junkie. I used to drive cars fast. I drove a car, blew a tire, rolled my car, you know, enough said, right? I broke my neck. And modern medicine was great to help. Now, with the post treatment and the aftercare was horrible. Was absolutely terrible. Would not recommend it to anybody, And so that's the issue. And then there's a lot of lip service to prevention. There's not a lot of real conversation around prevention. And so we definitely want to make sure that we're teaching people true prevention. And true prevention is making sure you're drinking adequate amounts of water, making sure, there's a lot to be done, making sure you have protein, making sure you're moving your body. There's a lot of things that need to be done, that unfortunately your conventional doctor's not trained in. They don't know. We have got to take these conventional doctors off the pedestal. They are not God, okay? I am the cleanup crew of medicine. I see it all. I've seen their mistakes. I've seen their cover-ups. I've just, I've seen it all. So when I say that you have to take your health in your hands, there is a definite reason that I'm suggesting that, simply because it is dangerous if you just you acquiesce to everything and they're going to help you. They're not your saviors. And again, this is an option to allow for greater access. So I can treat anybody in the world as long as they have an internet access, right? I can hook you up, send you, you can purchase through various different places, Amazon, that sort of thing. You can purchase a blood pressure cuff. You can purchase, a heart rate monitor. Like I said, I got this off the TikTok shop. It was $20. And it actually looks at blood pressure. It looks at heart rate. It looks at a few different my sleep, and $20. So there's a lot of different tools and techniques that we can gain, and I really want to unpack it and teach you guys so you can be more empowered. When you start getting into health data, when I got into health data, it was like, oh my gosh, amazing, like mind blowing. If people really understood what their data means, what they can test, I mean, once I start to unravel and unpack this stuff, you guys are going to be blown away at the things that you can discover without having to go pay a copay, without having to go fight in a doctor's office, without having to explain and get gaslit a million times. So the healthcare system has a lot of challenges. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, it's the most amazing thing ever, because it's not. And it's not because it has denigrated providers like me for far too long. Not only are black doctors in general disrespected about 56, 57% of the time, black holistic doctors, we're not even studied, right? They want to eradicate us, get rid of us, unalive us so bad because we cut into their profit margins. We are doctors that are trained to get people well. We're trained to manage people's health, not manage their disease. We're trained to be that kind of swift kick in the ass to make sure you're drinking your water, doing your protein, doing your meditation, etc. And so there has to be a lot of gentleness, love, and accountability that's involved in all of those things. So wonderful. Well, I think I'm feeling a little sleepy, sleepy. So we've gone through everything we need to go over for today. Definitely link in the bio. Join some of the communities. Get involved. Get interested. I'm super excited that this worked out. And yeah, I'll see you guys roaming around some of these other TikTok streets. I always like to just kind of listen in and relax, especially as it's getting late. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see y'all later.